Today we are going to compare three newly released TWS earbuds from Xiaomi, Realme and Oppo, and while they are not exactly at the same price point, they are close enough and the difference in quality between them is actually greater than the difference in price. So the Redmi Earbuds S cost 1800 rupees, the Realme Buds Q cost 2000 rupees and finally the Oppo Enco W11 cost 2500 rupees. So obviously the more expensive earbud should be better, but the reason to make this video is to find out how much of a compromise there is when you save 500 or 700 rupees and if it is worth saving that money. Hey guys, I am Siddharth and let's find out which of these earbuds you should say no to. So coming to the case of these earbuds, they all have a similar size and shape that makes them easy to carry around. The Redmi Earbuds S feel like they are made of cheap plastic and the earbuds rattle inside if you shake them. The lid is also a little wobbly, so it does feel like there was some cost cutting going on here. The Realme Buds Q have a case that feels a little better. They tried to shape it like a pebble and it does have a more rounded design which feels nice, but plastic used here still feels very non-premium. And while they don't rattle inside the case as much as Redmi earbuds, there is still some rattling. The thing I really dislike about these is that they don't have any indication of the battery level on either the earbuds or the case, so you can't even tell if they are turned on or completely discharged. The Oppo case looks and feels much better than both earbuds. The plastic used here is nice, the lid doesn't wobble, and there is no rattling when you shake them inside their case. And it really doesn't feel like a budget true wireless earphone. The Oppo case also charges with USB Type-C, which I really like over the micro USB charging ports on both other cases. Unlike Oppo and Realme, the Redmi earbuds don't come with a USB charging cable, which is not a big issue, but it still is an omission. The design of the earbuds do have some differences. So the Redmi earbuds have a basic shape that doesn't look like it will be a good fit in ears, but it still manages to fit well because it holds itself completely with the support of the ear tip. The Realme buds look like they will fit very well in ears, and they actually do after you use the correct size of ear tips, but the smaller ear tips might make them feel like they will fall off. The Oppo earbuds are a little bigger in comparison, but they fit well in my big ears, but if you have very small ears, you might face some issues. Overall, I find all of these earphones to be comfortable in my ears and I can wear any of them for long periods. But the Redmi earbuds are very light and small and they interfere the least with your ears. Even though I like how well the Realme and Oppo earbuds seal off your ears and isolate the noise because of their shape. Both with Realme and Oppo earbuds, I have to use bigger ear tip for proper bass, but the Realme Buds bigger ear tip is kind of too big, so it is not the most comfortable for me. Coming to controls, the Redmi earbuds have buttons which you can use to play, pause, change tracks and launch Google Assistant. The Realme Buds have similar controls but with touch instead of buttons. But the problem with Realme earbuds is that the touch functionality doesn't work properly and it can get really annoying. On the Oppo earbuds, you also have touch controls, but they work flawlessly. The touch area is very big and a really useful addition in controls is that you can touch and hold the left or right earbud to increase or decrease volume, and this works really well. The battery life on the Redmi earbuds is a total of 12 hours with the case, while on the Realme and Oppo earphone it is 20 hours, so both of these are going to last for much longer. And the Oppo earphones also offer a 5 hours battery life on the earbuds compared to the 4 hours of the other two earphones. The microphone on all of these is decent enough. The Redmi earbuds S perform well for the price. The Realme buds also do well, but they have a very heavy noise cancellation effect in audio. The Oppo earphones also perform well and offer high volume levels. I'll have the audio samples now so you can listen and compare with your own ears. This is a microphone test for the Redmi Earbuds S, and I think that the microphone sounds kind of tinny, but it is totally acceptable at this price point. And on the calls that I made with these earphones, the people on the other side were able to hear me clearly. This is what the microphone sounds like, and it is not bad, but it is not that great either. In my Redmi Earbuds S review, you can see that the microphone on those does sound a little better, but this isn't bad either, and I didn't have any problems during calls. This is what the microphone sounds like, and I can already see that the levels on these earbuds are higher than the other earbuds that I had tested. One thing I noticed is that if I speak loudly like this, the audio is going to clip a little,
But then in my normal voice, the volume is quite good, and while you can hear some effect of noise cancellation, I think that for calls these will be really great.
The Oppo earphone also offer faster pairing to your phone as they connect when you open their case and not after you remove them from the case. And with Oppo phones, they also offer a quick pairing function, even though with my OnePlus phone they also paired very quickly. One feature they do lack compared to the cheaper Realme and Redmi earbuds is a low latency mode for gaming, and while the cheaper earbuds obviously aren't as good as wired earphones even with their game mode on, they do have a lower latency than these Oppo earphones. So even though I personally don't mind some latency for mobile gaming, if you are a person that considers PUBG Mobile to be very important, then these will not be the best for you. Also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with bell icon so you don't miss my video on these crazy bone conduction earphones. All three earbuds have some water resistance rating, but the IP55 rating of Oppo earbuds is better than IPX4 of the Realme and Redmi. Coming to sound quality, there are very dramatic differences between these earphones. So the Redmi Earbuds S do not sound great. What they do offer is a balanced sound that I do like for watching videos and movies, but for music, they really sound like budget earbuds, so I personally don't consider them a very good purchase, especially as they are only 200 rupees cheaper than the Realme Buds. Then the Realme Buds can sound good, but out of the box, they have very accentuated highs that kind of ruin the experience for me. The drivers they have do have potential, but the sound signature is really not good in my opinion, and the lack of clear battery level indication in addition to other problems kind of make it a deal breaker for me. You can use equalizer with them and use these settings to make them sound good. So if you really cannot extend your budget and you are fine with using an equalizer, the Realme Buds can be an acceptable choice. Then finally moving on to the Oppo Enco W11, they clearly offer a better sound quality between these three. Their sound is more balanced, the bass is really good, the mids are good too, and the highs are a little prominent, but it doesn't get harsh. So overall, I think that the Oppo Enco W11 are not only the best purchase, but also the most value for money purchase between these three. Because you could go with the Redmi Earbuds S thinking that you are saving 700 rupees, but in reality, you might be wasting 1800 rupees by not getting a product that can provide you with adequate satisfaction. If you only want to watch YouTube videos or movies and you don't have the budget, then the Redmi Earbuds S can be a suitable choice. Then the Realme Buds Q are not bad for 2000 rupees, but their controls and sound signature are kind of annoying, but you can at least use equalizer with them and then you won't be wasting the 2000 rupees like you might with Redmi Earbuds. And finally the Oppo Enco W11 just offer too much to pass on for 500 rupees extra. They feel much higher quality, the controls work flawlessly, and their volume can also be controlled. They have USB Type-C charging, faster connection to your phone, great battery life, a mic that sounds good, and after all that, they offer a sound quality that is as good as the best performing wired wireless earphones in this range. And I personally haven't heard any other true wireless earphone that sounds better in this range. So in conclusion, I really don't think that it is worth saving 500 to 700 rupees with Redmi and Realme earphones. Not everything that is cheap offers a better value, and that is very clearly visible in this comparison. It also shows how much the quality of components degrades after every small step in cost cutting, and that's why I always recommend to avoid buying the cheapest products, especially when it comes to wireless audio. So I'll have links to buy these in the video description. Let me know what you thought about this comparison. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it or a thumbs down if you disliked it. Subscribe with bell. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.